शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्याये सर्वविघ्न उपशान्तये। श्री गोविंद 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 श्री भगवतः पुरापुरुषस्य विष्णोराज्ञेय प्रवर्तमानस्य अद्य ब्रह्मणः द्विवरार्थे स्वेदवरागकल्पे वैवस्वत मन्वन्तरे अष्टाविंशतितमे कलियुगे प्रथमे पादे क्रौञ्चद्वीपे ऐन्द्रखण्डे रम्यकवर्षे कपिलारण्य क्षेत्रे वसन्तपुरीनगरे गोदा पद्मावती समेत श्री श्रीनिवास स्वामी सन्निधौ मंगल विश्वावसु नाम संवत्सरे दक्षिणायने शरदृतौ वृश्चिकमासे शुक्लपक्षे चतुर्थस्यां पुण्यतिथौ वासरः वासरस्तु। सौम्यवासर युक्तायां कृत्तिका नक्षत्र युक्तायां एवं गुण विशिष्टायां अस्यां पुण्यतिथौ कौंडिन्य गोत्रस्य मम पितुः राधाकृष्ण शर्मणः प्रेतस्य शरीर शुद्ध्यर्थं आत्म शुद्ध्यर्थं शुद्धि पुण्याकवाचनम् अद्य करिष्ये शुद्धि पुण्याकवाचनम् अद्य करिष्ये। ओम यस्यद्रुतभद्राद्या पारिषद्या वत्सदं विघ्नं विघ्नन्ति सततं विश्वक्षेणं तमाश्रये। विश्वक्षेणाय नमः। ओम इमं मे वरुण सुदेगवम् अध्यायमुदय तामवस्सुराजके तत्पायामि ब्रह्मणा बन्धमानः तद् आशास्ते यजमानः अभिर्भिः गेडमाने वरुण ईकमोदि पुरुषकं समानः आयुर्प्रमोषीः वरुणाय नमः। वरुणं सकलतीर्थ अधिपतिं पुरुषं पुण्डरीकाक्षं वरुणं ध्यायामि वरुणमावाहयामि वरुणाय नमः। सकल आराधनैः सुवर्चितं वरुणाय नमः। अर्घ्यं समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। आद्यं समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। भोर्भवस्वः स्नानं समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। स्नानानन्तर आचमनीयं समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। वस्त्र उपवीत आभरणार्थे अक्षता समर्पयामि वरुणाय नमः। हृदयरसे नमः। स्वरूपिणे नमः। अवामदये नमः। मकर वागणाय नमः। जलाधिपतये नमः। आसगस्ताय नमः। तीर्थराजाय नमः। स्वेद छत्रधराय नमः। अनर्घ मणिभूषणाय नमः। वरुणाय नमः। नानाविध परिमल पत्र पुष्पाणि समर्पयामि। भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। कदलीफलं निवेदयामि वरुणाय नमः। प्राणाय स्वाहा बाणाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा ब्रह्मणे स्वाहा। ओम जुम्बकाय विद्महे वासगस्ताय धीमहि तन्नो वरुण प्रचोदयात्। ओम तदिग्राहिणोकारिणं विश्व तस्वस्य वाजिनः सुरभिनोकागवद् प्रणमायं पुंसिदारिणद् आभोष्टामयाभुव स्थानपूर्जे तदाधना अनेरणाय सज्जदे योगत्सरदमोदस्य वाजेदेगणः नदीयो मातरः तस्मारण्यमामवो यक्षक्षयाय जिन्वद आभो जनयदाजनः निरपवमानुस्वर्जनः पवित्रेण विसर्जने यद्बोधासपुनादमा पुनन्दमा देवजनः पुनन्दवनवोधिया पुनन्द विश्वायवः यादवेदं पवित्रवद् पवित्रेण पुनाहिमः शुक्रेण देवदीप्यद् अग्ने कृत्वा कृतोकरणो यद्धे पवित्रमक्षसि अग्ने कृतमन्नर ब्रह्मदेन मुनीमहि उवाभ्यां देवसविदः पवित्रेण समेन च इदं ब्रह्म मुनीमहि यभावमानीरत्योदि ऋणिभिः संवृतकमरसम सर्वकं सबूतमस्नादि सुदिदं मादरिश्वन आवमानीर्यो अद्येदि ऋणिभिः संवृतकमरसम तस्मै सरस्वतीदुगे क्षीरकं सर्पिर्मधुदकम् आवमानी स्वस्तयनि सुदीर्घाकृतच्युतः ऋणिभिः संवृतोरकः ब्राह्मणे समृतकम् इदम् आवमानीर्दिसन्तुनः इमं लोकमतो अमौ कामान् समर्थयन्तुनः देवैः समापदाः आवमानी स्वस्तयनि सुदुघागिकर्दक्षुतः ऋणिभिः सम्प्रदोरजः ब्राह्मणेषमृतकं गिरं येन देवा पवित्रेण आत्मानं पुनरे सदा तेन सकशलधारेण पावमान्यं पुनन्दम राजावत्यं पवित्रं सदोद्यामकं हिरण्मयं तेन ब्रह्मविदोमयं भूतं ब्रह्म पुनीमगे इन्द्रस्वीति सकमा गुणादु सोमसत्यावरणस्रीच्या नमो राजा प्रगुणावे गुणादमा जातवेद मूर्धन्य गुणादु भूत्मवस्व तक्षण्यो रावणीमः गादुं यज्ञाय गादुं यज्ञमदये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मम्भेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं गादवे गजं शन्नो अस्तुर्निपदे सच्चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्तिः पद्मायामि ब्रह्मणः वर्धमानः तद् आशास्ते यजमानः अविर्भिः अगेडमाने वरुण इकबोधि पुरुषकं समानः आयत्प्रमोषीः वरुणाय नमः वरुणं सकलधीर्घाधिपति पुरुषं गणीकाक्षं वरुणं यदास्थानं प्रतिष्ठापयामि.
I will tell each part: head, heart, feet, head, heart, feet. Sprinkler water or father. First, see, head.
आभोगिष्ठामय उपवस्थान ऊर्जे तदाधना
Feet.
अगेरणा यशक्षरे योवस्यवदमोरडदस्य भाजयदे गणः उषधीरिव मातरः तस्मा अरङ्गमामवो यक्षक्षया यजिन्वदा आभो जनयदा जनाः.
Please. Any quarter or penny? Any quarter or penny? Yeah. Sorry, sir. I'll bring it in my car. What do you put it in? Oops. Bring it, put it in my car. Please repeat. Hiranyagarbha.
Hiranyagarbha.
Garbhastham.
Garbhastham.
Hemabijam.
Hebajidam.
Hemapijam.
Hemapijam.
Upaha.
Hiranyagarbha garbhada.
Upasmahe.
Upasmahe.
Anante.
Anante.
Punya.
Punye.
Paladam.
Paladam.
Adashandim.
Adashardim.
Prayachame.
Prechame.
Kaundinya.
Kaudinye.
Gotrasya.
Gotrasye.
Radha Krishna. Sarmanaha. Mama. Piduhu. Predasya. Sada. Mokshe. Prantyartam. Dashadarnam. Adye. Karishye. Dashadane. Gude. Nishe. Rubye. Ajye. Idye. Pragirtidaha. Dasadanam. Adye. Karishye. Kaundinya. Gotrasya. Radha Krishna. Sharmanaha. Mama. Piduhu. Predasya. Godhanam. Adye. Karishye. Gavam. Angeshu. Tishtandi. Bhuvanani. Sadurtashe. Tasmatasya. Pradanine. Adarshanim. Prayachame.
प्रयेच्छ
मे
मे
गोदानं
गोदानं
दुभ्यमगं
दुभ्यनगं
संप्रददे
संप्रददे
नमः
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 अच्युत
अच्युते
प्रियदां
प्रियदां
Go your father right here, put it this like you tell 7 times Rama 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 7 times Krishna 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 Krishna. After that Om Namo Narayanaya 7 times. No, very visible. Okay, outside. Put it there, just that one. Garlands. Okay.
கருவிழுத்த குறுநீர் தவின்காமக் கடை உருவிருத்த திருவிருத்த ஓரடகத்திரீர் திருநாட்டகத்தே பொய் நின்ன ஞானமும் பொல்லா ஒழுக்கமழுக்குடம்பும் இன்னின்ன நீர்மை இனியா முறாமை உயிரளிப்பான் என்னின்ன யோனியமாய் பிறந்தாய் இமையோர் தலைவா மெய்நன்னிகே தருளாய் அடியேன் செய்யவின் அப்பமே ஈனச் சொல்லாய் இனமாக எருதிர வையம் மொத்தம் ஏனத்தொருவாய் இடந்தமிரான் இருங்கற்பகம் சேர் வானத்தவர்க்கும் அல்லாதவர்க்கும் மத்தெல்லா எவர்க்கும் ஞானப்பீரானை அல்லால் இல்லை நான் கண்ட நல்லதுவே நல்லார் நவில் குருகூர் நகரான் திருமால் திருப்பேர் வல்லாரடி கண்ணி சூடிய மாறன் விண்ணப்பம் செய்த சொல்லார் துறையலின் நூறும் வல்லார் அழுந்தார் பிறப்பாம் பொல்லா அறிவினை மாயவன் சேத் அல்லல் பொய் இலத்தே.
Hold it this like anti-clock 3 round. Go outside, throw it, the whole cup. Come here.
left shoulder
This like, yeah.
left side
Yes. 3 up, anti-clockwise, 3 round. Standing everybody, I'll pray for Sahiba. The soul go to that Vishnu Father. Om Sagana Bhavadu Sagano Punattu Sagaviryangaravavagai Tejasvinavati Dhamastuma Vidvishavagayi Om Sandhisha
Dishandihi Abhogishtamaya Bhuva Sthana Urje Tadadhana Magirana Yasakdhe Yovat Sivadamoradatasya Bhajaya Dekanaha Ushadiriva Mataraha Tasma Arangamamabo Yakshakshaya Yajinvada Abo Janayada Janaha Pradivi Shanta Sagnina Santa Same Shanta Sujagam Samayadu Andarikshagam Shandandat Pajuna Shandam Danme Shantakum Sujagam Samayadu Dyav Santa Dadityena Santa Same Shanta Sujagam Samayadu Andarikshagam Shandatna Pradivi Shantir Dyav Shantirada Shantirakni Shantir Vayu Shantir Aditya Shantir Chandrama Shantir Nakshatrani Shantirabha Shantiroshadaya Shantir Vanaspadaya Shantir Gaus Shantiraja Shantirasva Shantir Purusha Shantir Brahma Shantir Brahmana Shantir Shantir Deva Shantir Shantir Me Astu Shantihi Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.
This Vastra, our father, is Balaji. Lord Balaji Vastra. Balaji. Yes.
Hello. I hope I'm audible. My name is Nagesh, otherwise called Nagu. I am his cousin brother here in America. My mother is one of his mother's sisters. So that's, I think, I can claim to be the closest relative here in America. And I have known him ever since I was a little boy. I'll keep it very brief, but essentially I'm 10 years younger than him. And I want to apologize to the people in India watching on live stream if I've said anything which may be erroneous, because these are my memories, my niece's memories, my aunt's memories, and my grandmother's memories. He was born in Madras, these days of British India, and he initially went to live in Bangalore and then came back to Madras because his mother felt that the education in Madras was better. So his early days were spent in Madras. And since he was the firstborn male, he had 4 aunties to dote over him, and they thoroughly spoiled him. There was no time when he was neglected, and he was always the favorite of them. He was a very good-natured boy, my grandma and my aunts used to say. So they had a wonderful childhood, and you can see from one of his pictures what a happy little baby he was. Then my cousins came on, 3 girls in a row, and so they moved to a bigger place. And then he moved to Bangalore, where he continued his education in a convent, and then went on and lived with his sisters. And my youngest aunt went to live with him in Bangalore. From my grandma and my aunts, they recall such wonderful experiences with him. And my grandmother specifically said that when he was young, she used to take him all over the place to the library and teach him to read books. And I think the books and reading bug bit him from that time. And he was also a great reader. She used to take him wherever he wanted. And one incident she recalled was, in the British days, they wouldn't let people go into the airports. But she went and talked to the person in charge and said, you have to encourage young people. How can a young person be encouraged to become a pilot if you don't let him go near a plane? So that was where I think he got his flying inclination, if I may put it so. Later, those school days in Bangalore, I wasn't that much because I was 10 years younger. By the time my memory picks up, he was already going into medical college. He went initially to Mysore Medical College, where he had a good time. So his mother said, enough of the good time, you're coming back to Bangalore. So he came back to Bangalore and finished his medical college in Bangalore. Initially, everybody remembers flying as his only passion. It was his passion. He always wanted to fly. And there were many instances where my aunties used to say, he used to come and try to get few rupees from them. He didn't want to ask his father. So his aunts used to give him money whenever they used to visit. And he would go and ask his aunts, and they would give him the money. And then he would express concern. How are you going to explain this money I'm taking out for going to flying to my father? And his aunts always used to say, don't worry about it. You go do your flying. We'll take care of it. And when my grandma used to come and visit, which we did very frequently, he would go and look at her purse and then try to ask. And my grandma said, what do you want? I said, I want money for flying. And so she would give him the money for his flying lessons, like that. He also had other hobbies, and one of the hobbies which I remember distinctly was photography. In those days it was black and white, and he used to take a lot of pictures. And somewhere in the household, there must be beautiful black and white pictures of South Indian temples. He went on a trip with one of his in South India, because his aunt, one of them, lived in Tirunelveli. And they arranged for him to go to the famous South Indian temples in Madurai and Rameswaram and Tanjavur. And I've seen them in my own eyes, so I'm sure that you have them somewhere. And those were, coffee table type pictures, such beautifully well done, with intricate details about the sculptures in the walls. He was also, in his college days, deep into bodybuilding. See, where they lived was cantonment area, which was really an Anglo-Indian area. So the whole neighborhood was filled with Anglo-Indians except for their family and another family. So all his socializing would have been with other people in the cantonment. And I remember him going for the bodybuilding and coming back muscular, and he would ask us little boys and girls to touch his muscles, which were very hard. And one of his sisters used to hit him on the muscle, and he said, yes, it's really hard. Pushpa auntie. He also took to playing billiards and was a pretty good player with that. And once again, that's because of the environment in which he grew in, cantonment area of Bangalore. For those who don't know, cantonment means military area. It was where the old military bases and the Madras Engineering Group used to be, very close to their house. He loved children, and there were a lot of them at home. He had 3 younger sisters, then we cousins. There were about 4 or 5 of us, and the house was always filled with little kids. And all of us loved him so much. He would take us up, he would treat us so well, so kind, so gentle, never a harsh word, and play with us at all times. And the same thing I remember very well when Ratna and Aruna were little girls. They used to climb all over him, they wrestle him and punch him, and he used to do that all the time. It was so nice to see both the girls crawling over him. He's such a quiet guy, but when the girls came and did that, he just indulged them in whatever they wanted. Summer vacations for me in Bangalore were the best times of my life. I lived in Madras with my grandmother 10 years after he left Madras. And we used to spend all our time with him and have wonderful experiences with my loving Anna. We never, ever, ever said anything about him in the negative way. God rest his soul.
Hi, my name is Ratna. I am his eldest daughter. Thank you all for being here to honor Chris's remarkable life, as he liked to be called. Is that loud enough? My dad was an incredibly sweet, intelligent, unique, do-it-yourself kind of man. He was a family doctor, surgeon, pilot, gardener, and we say philanthropist, amongst many other things. He touched many, many lives in his own silent way and is deeply loved and missed. I'd like to share with you all some interesting characteristics of Chris Radhakrishna. My dad could be very strict at times, but when he believed in something or someone, he supported it wholeheartedly. When I was 16 and wanted to back out of a school biology trip to Australia because no one else in my school was going, he wouldn't hear of it. He made me get my scuba certification. But that trip turned out to be one of the most influential of my life, sparking my love for the rainforest, scuba diving, and travel. Dad was a visionary of technology, continually researching and learning ahead of the crowd. We were the earliest computer owners, and he brought home a TRS-80, or a Trash 80. And since middle schools didn't offer computer classes yet, he hired a high schooler to come home and teach us. We didn't really learn a lot about computers from him. And he had a GoPro before anyone knew what the heck a GoPro was. He also encouraged us to be financially savvy. When Aruna and I were just little girls, he took us to the John Warner Bank and opened us bank accounts. He also hired us to work in his office as kids, starting our Social Security accumulation as early as possible. He acted like an educational fairy, leaving articles on our bedroom floors or the refrigerator, encouraging us to educate ourselves on whatever he thought was important. He was always thinking ahead for us. Flying and science were his lifelong passions. He got his pilot's license after coming to the United States and eventually owned his own Cessna. He would fly us on long weekends to Chicago or the Ozarks or anywhere that had a small airport for him to land. This passion carried through his later years when he went on to build his own aircraft and flew it over the Rocky Mountains from Kansas to California when he was 77 years old. He had amazing stamina, working hard and long hours on his feet in the operating room and gardening 5 hours straight in the blaring sun. After retiring, Dad made an amazing, beautiful garden in the back of our new California house. He literally turned a piece of barren, dusty land into a gorgeous oasis of green trees and vibrant flowers. That was his joy. Geeta was the love of his life. She often complained of how Dad didn't pay attention to her because he spent long hours working and being alone outside in the garden or up in the air. But finally, when he retired, he began to enjoy taking her to Hindi movies. And he took such sweet care of her, feeding and comforting her in her last months. I came to understand that love is not really about words, flowers, kisses, or remembering birthdays. My dad, who I thought didn't feel much emotion or love, was the exact opposite of that. Yet his love was immense. How heartbroken and lonely he became if Geeta ever had to leave the house for a few days. Most of his living hours, he chose to be alone, but being alone without my mother nearby was insufferable. That's why it really gives me peace that my mother, in her hummingbird form, told us on November 24th that this was Dad's day to pass. It was their 57th wedding anniversary. Geeta and Chris, Mom and Dad, although we will miss you both tremendously, it gives us great comfort to know that you are both together again.
Dad was truly one of a kind, a rare gem, an intelligent, progressive-thinking man with a quiet quirkiness and humor that always caught you off guard. He carried within him a rare balance, patient and meticulous in so many ways, yet at times bold and risky. To be a passenger in his car was a genuine, nerve-wracking experience. Yet, when I sat next to him in his plane, where every move was careful and deliberate, I knew without question that I was safe. He had a gift for noticing beauty in the world, for appreciating the little things that so often go overlooked. He was the person behind the scenes, always observing, taking note, and then quietly doing something about it, never needing anyone to know. His kindness was woven into the fabric of who he was. Whether it was hearing a child play the piano so beautifully that he slipped off his gold ring and gave it as a token of appreciation, or noticing the hardworking gas station attendant and quietly handing him a lump of cash, his generosity was instinctive. He used his plane to make angel flights, to voluntarily take patients who couldn't afford transportation to receive the critical care they needed. And he always kept money in his pocket, ready to give to the homeless, because he believed no one should go unseen. As a child, I didn't see Dad much during the week. His days were long and his work demanding. He would come home exhausted, share dinner with us, and then fall asleep with a book in his hands. I remember watching him study his surgery manuals late into the night, preparing for the next day's procedure. He carried the weight of responsibility with quiet dignity, never once complaining, because for him, providing for his family was simply what he did. In a world that often celebrates the loudest voices and the most outgoing personalities, Dad never changed who he was just to get recognition. He was a man of extremely few words, but when he did speak, it mattered. And whatever it was he had to say, he only said it once. I'll never forget when he and my mom flew to North Carolina to meet Nando, my husband, for the first time. I was nervous, wondering if they would approve. As I hugged him goodbye at the airport, he placed his hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eyes, and said with a firm nod, "Nando, he seems to be a fine young man." It may have been the only words he spoke the entire weekend, but it was all I needed. Dad was strict with how he raised Ratna and me, but he always made it clear that women could and should be whatever they wanted. Doctors and astronauts were at the top of his list. Sorry to disappoint you, Dad. Without even realizing it, he was a feminist. He never hesitated when I wanted to travel, take a job across the country, or even move abroad. And when I eventually had children and stepped away from the workforce, I secretly wondered what he would think. On one of his visits, he left me again with a hug and another one-liner that said it all. "I adore you for how you're raising your kids." And although Dad is no longer here with us, I see him every day in those closest to me. In my husband, his silent strength and respect for others. In my son, his kind heart, resilience, and quiet intelligence. And in my daughter, his unwavering empathy, physical and mental strength, and fearless spirit. My siblings and I have been blessed with having had two phenomenal parents. Though absolutely opposite in character, they both held the same values and beliefs. Love and honor your family, support and cherish your friends, follow your dreams, have fun, and help those who you can along the way. I hope we can carry out your legacies and do the same.
I want to invite all those who are gathered in person, if you do have any words or stories you'd like to share, the mic will be open for some time. You're most welcome. I'm Rohan. Dad, you were so much to so many. Besides being a son, father, and grandfather, you were an Anna, or older brother, not only to your two brothers and three sisters who are in India, but also to younger cousins like Nagu Mama, who you heard from today, representing our family, and Amalu Auntie, your cousin with whom you had joyful fun as children. Today, in Tiruvannamalai, Tamil Nadu, near where you were born, in Madras, now Chennai, the great fire, Mahadipam, is lit on top of the mountain Arunachala. Millions are gathered for this auspicious occasion. So while there is a small Agni and fire here in the room, there is a huge one burning in India, where your brother Srinivasan Sinumama is praying for the passing of your soul. What an auspicious day it is. You are an uncle or mama to dozens of nieces and nephews, gently offering support and life advice, whether they came to the US to study or work or stayed in India. You are an inspiration to all that meet you, a living example that life is more than your work, that pursuing hobbies is important. You always made time to garden and fly. You traveled the world with your global family, embracing the intercultural life that you sowed the seeds of by being a true humanistic multiculturalist. When I was in middle school in Topeka, Kansas, you took in host students that had a bad experience with another Kansan family and had them stay with us, visiting from Fukuoka, Japan. Later, I would go on to marry a Japanese woman, knowing that the world had many amazing cultures and countries with similar universal values. And when we were in Clinton, Illinois, you welcomed one of Ratna's friends, Anna, a Colombian exchange student, and even sent Ratna to Colombia in the 1980s, not knowing later that Aruna would marry Nando from Peru. And then when you enjoyed seeing your first grandson, Avinash, born in Costa Rica, you visited rainforests and volcanoes. After Sophia was born in Topeka, Kansas, with the help of many of your doctor friends, you then enjoyed visiting them and us together in Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands, visiting with your new Japanese in-laws, Yoko, Hiro, Sayo, and Joseph, who's here today. Uruguay, Brazil's Amazon, we had so much fun together, taking in the awe of this amazing planet and one precious life. I do want to share my gratitude to your amazing family in India, who adored you and Mom, who embraced us on our occasional summer visits to India. And I'm so grateful that your grandchildren, Rumi and Rio, were able to go to India for 4 months this year to meet about 50 of them and hear stories about you. Sorry, kids, that was a lot of meals and chai you had to eat and drink. I also want to share my gratitude to our extended family, all the aunties and uncles from Clinton and Bloomington, Illinois. We have some of them in the room today, family friends, and also friends from Topeka, Kansas. Also, Usha, Auntie, Saint Uncle, Sarita in the room today. And newer friends from Mantika, like Jay and Lakshmi Davandri, and from Walnut Creek, like Gopala and Sudha, who are here from California. At times it was lonely growing up in rural California, America, far away from family, but you all filled us with love, food, advice, and support, as if you were our blood-related aunties and uncles. So those of you watching and who are here, thank you. I do have a few artifacts to share. It may seem a little morbid, but we are in a mortuary. This artificial hand is what you taught your grandchildren on. You taught them how to suture and put in stitches. During summer vacation, your 4 grandchildren thought they could just relax and play soccer together. But no, you had them doing Tata suturing camp. You patiently taught them the importance of focus and continuous improvement. Rumor even has it that when you married Geeta and tied the marriage thali, you tied a surgeon's knot. A second artifact I have here is your flying logbook, where you've logged meticulously all of your flights. These are the most recent ones from California, including just 2 weeks ago. You went to a flight simulator, including what your brother would be jealous of in India, the captain and fighter pilot, a 6-cylinder F-18 fighter jet simulation in Oakland. And even a couple weeks ago, after you crashed your blue Tesla in the parking lot, I ordered you an Uber so you could fly 3 days in a row. I'm so glad that your last weeks were filled with flying and eating delicious Thai food with your kids and grandkids. As I manage your paperwork over the coming months, each account and official document with a different name and spelling, I will laugh at how your many names have confused everyone, including you. C.N. Narayanamurthy with the Y or with an I, Coimbatore for some reason with an O, even though the city is with an A, Radhakrishna Krishna Chris. As we say goodbye to your body today, we promise to reunite your ashes with your beloved Gita in the same confluence of the Kaveri River tributaries in Srirangapatna, Karnataka, India, where your family's ashes are. Both your parents' ashes, those of the aunt who raised you after World War II, as Nagumama said, are also in the river awaiting you, as well as the ashes of your beloved Gita that we just released earlier this year in February 2025. So enjoy your last flight to be reunited with your ancestors and your beloved Gita. Although your departure seemed too sudden and too premature, last week when Mom came and shared her spirit animal, the hummingbird, hovering right in front of my face for a solid 20 seconds, it was her telling us that she's ready to receive you. And so we were then ready to let you go on your 57th wedding anniversary. So I have here from Mysore, India, in 1968, your original wedding invitation that we will put in your hand, your ticket to go and join her. May you be eternally happy. May you be free from suffering. May your memory and unique qualities inspire generations to come. Humility, hard work, and full throttle living life to the fullest. Thank you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. I love you. Goodbye.
My daughter has said that I should wipe out my makeup because I look scary. I'm Fumi. I'm Chris's daughter-in-law. Dear Chris, it's hard to imagine a world without you. And yet, here we are. So, we will honor you by reminding ourselves of all the gifts that you gave us and the beautiful person you are. Chris, you are a kind, quiet, and deeply humble presence in all the rooms where you sat. You observed carefully, thought with such precision, and communicated with care. You were gifted and boundless, you had gifted and boundless tenderness and incisive decision-making. You offered a stable anchor to your entire family that allowed each of them to go out in the world and know that on the inside they were safe. Because somewhere in the world, you were there to hold their dreams and progress. In this way, you were a parent to so many. You were also a surgeon and a pilot. I picture you as a commanding presence in the operating room, waking up every day at 4 a.m. to do your rounds, caring cautiously for each of your patients. I also picture you on your plane, a capable pilot this time, up there in the sky, seeing the people below diminish into ant-sized proportions, and the world suddenly coming into a new focus. I think up there, the world locked into a perspective that made sense to you or beautiful mind. I know you as a father, grandfather, and uncle. You quietly and gently launched each of us to a future of possibility. If you were close enough, you would show up with a spoonful of protein for brain and body development. If your granddaughter showed a slight interest in archery, which she did for 1 second, you came up with an armful of expensive archery equipment so that she may one day be an Olympian. You looked into the future with such hope and optimism. I wish, above all, that you could continue to see it with your own eyes. When Gita passed away, I know you were brokenhearted. You were gracious to us and put a brave face in front of your loss, showing us how to move through some of our greatest challenges in life. Thank you for so many gifts. I miss you. I remember you. I honor you. I love you. And I hope that you're at peace in the knowledge that you gave us flight.
Hello, my name is Rumi Radhakrishna, and I'm Dr. Radhakrishna's granddaughter. I'm 12 years old, and I live in Oakland, California. One of my favorite memories with my Tata is flying in his plane with him. It was technically illegal because I was 3 years younger than I should have been, but it was really fun. I also remember flying on an airplane simulator at the Hillard Aviation Museum, and I crashed into the water so many times. At school, I had to do an assignment and write a poem about a color, and I chose the color blue. And blue is traditionally a color of sadness, and today we're mourning my grandfather, but blue was also his favorite color and the color of the sky which he liked to fly in, and even now he's wearing a blue kurta, so I will now recite the poem that I made. Soothing Blue by Rumi Radhakrishna. Blue is the color that lulls me to sleep, a color that I can keep for myself, a color I can depend on, washing away all my fears. Blue is the soft fluff of cotton candy, firm yet delicate, strong and reliable. Blue is the wave crashing at my feet, the smell of the ocean, musty and salty. Blue is all of my good memories jumbled together. Blue is a sip of ice-cold water on a hot summer day, a remedy for my burning throat, soothing all of my burns and cuts. Blue is a calm color, a soothing color. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rio Mitsuishi Radhakrishna. I am Radhakrishna's grandson. I just turned 10 years old yesterday, and I live in Oakland, California. One of my most memorable memories of my grandfather was when he fed my sister so much that she vomited. He really liked this stuff with protein. I will now put a couple of things in his coffin. Tata, this is a drawing of you that your daughter-in-law's sister, Sayo, made for you. Do I put it in? Tata, this is a ceramic plane that I made for you. I remember that you gave me a pottery set for Christmas because I really like pottery. And this is a paper airplane that'll help you on your last flight. Okay, let me put it in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kalpana Ramakrishnan, and I knew Uncle from my early years in 1980s in Bloomington Normal, and I became very close friends with his children and grew up with them and have very, very fond memories of being at pretty much all holiday parties, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, all Diwali functions. It was really fun. And I want to just acknowledge some of the people that I've been communicating with. Muralidharan family, the Radhakrishnan family, the Demera family, Soundararajan family, William family. So just wanted to give a shout out and that they care so much about you guys. So I got to know Uncle a lot more as an adult because I'm living here close to him in Pleasanton. And he would come to all the functions that we would invite him to, birthday parties, Christmas parties. He was very social. And so I'm just really glad I got to know him as an adult. And he was so kind and so loving and generous with Jagsy. It was really, I don't know, very fortunate and very honored to be a part of his life. I love you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vasudev, and Chris is my grandmother's brother. So, yeah, it's so I only got to know Shashi Mama, as I call him, in around, I'd say 2014. So I think I met him a couple of times before that, but really not the clearest memories. So prior to 2014, so I knew his three sisters pretty well. I knew Vijay Mama pretty well, his brother. And then I knew there were two other siblings that existed. There was Ashram Mama, as I called him, the mama who lives in an ashram. And then there was USA Mama. So, and yeah, he kind of remained like an elusive figure in my head. I only knew about him just through the respect through which my grandmother spoke about him. And in 2014, that was the first time I came to the US to visit him in his Topeka home. And yeah, the first thing I noticed is it was a very loving home. Geeta auntie, his wife, and him created this beautiful atmosphere where I think the entire family came, and Chinna Mama too. And it was just such a beautiful atmosphere. And then, yeah, I went into his hangar one day, and I just saw so much stuff. And I was surprised, like, wow, who is this man who owns all these things, who has a airstrip in his backyard too? And that got me a bit curious, like, okay, this USA Mama seems like an interesting guy, you know? Maybe I should get to know him more. So, yeah, I started talking with him in the Topeka home, getting to understand him a bit better. And then I remember he called me one day to help him set up a driving simulator, I think it was. So he had like a steering wheel, some pedals, and then he wanted to get a driving simulator set up at his home. And then there was like a very specific part that we needed from Best Buy. So we drove all the way to Best Buy and found that extremely specific part and got it up and running. So that was my first experience with him in 2014. And it left a great impression on me. And I thought I really liked this man. And then in 2016, I was deciding where to go to university. I grew up in Kuwait, and I was deciding whether to go to the UK, London, for university, or come to the Bay Area over here. And the experience that I had in Kansas definitely tipped my scales in favor of the Bay Area. So I came over here, and yeah, my sister and I flew over together, spent some time at Rohi Mama's house, and then spent the rest of our time in Manteca as well. And that same loving atmosphere that I experienced in Topeka, I experienced in Manteca as well. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience. We all drove together down to Berkeley, where I attended college, moved into my dorm together, and had a lot of fun over the next few days. And their Manteca home was really a place for me to just rest. College was, of course, stressful, so all 4 years of it was stressful. And anytime I needed a place just to relax, rest my nervous system, the Manteca home was always open to me. So I used to go over, and every time I went over, Shashi Mama stocked up in Lagunitas, and then, which technically is illegal because I was under 21. But yeah, we just used to sit out in his beautiful backyard and sip the Lagunitas. I even helped him harvest some plants at home as well. And the backyard was a beautiful place, and the Manteca home, I loved it. And yeah, after COVID, after his wonderful wife's passing, Geeta auntie's passing, I got to see him in his Richmond home. And it was really interesting just seeing him go through the years and see his personality change. And I tried to be as much of an assistance to him as possible. And a really memorable trip that I had was, sometime last year when me and Ratna were over at his place, trying to set up air tags on all his different objects. So we put an air tag in his passport case, air tag in his keys, air tag on his phone. And I think I still have, took them off. Yeah. So, yeah. And it was very memorable, just getting to know him through the years. So even though I was late to the party, only in 2014 did I start to get to know him, I think I still really appreciate him. And the 11 years that I truly knew him, very memorable 11 years for me. And I'm happy to see everyone here gathered to celebrate this man's life. So, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Raju Ray. I know Dr. Radhakrishna for a long time, since I was a little kid in Bangalore, where I was born, and he used to come and visit. I used to go with my parents. knew him well, and I noticed I met him a few times, and every time it's been very memorable things I took home and learned from him. What I noticed was he tended to not sit down as much, whenever we're having conversation, and so true about the driving. My dad was telling me, we went with him once, and Dr. Radhakrishna, he drives the car as if he's driving a plane where there is no traffic in the air. So my dad was not the only one. Probably, others have experienced that as well, So a couple of other experiences I had was, I think Rohan may remember, my train got delayed. I was on an Amtrak. I was visiting the United States. And both of them, after a long day of work, it was almost midnight, Rohan and Dr. Radhakrishna came to pick me up. So he was back to work at 4 a.m. again, So that really taught me how kind and no matter after a long day, he was, willing. He could have ordered a taxi or he could have sent one of you guys, But he was there to really receive me at the Amtrak. Thanksgiving, actually Dr. Radhakrishna's family is the first family I knew, the only family actually I knew in the United States when I came for my internship and residency. And Geeta used to invite me for Thanksgiving, when I used to live in St. Louis, and that's when I really got to know all of you. And those memories are stays with me for a long time. We're very fortunate that a couple of years ago I came to visit with my daughter for college touring, and I got to spend lunch with him at his place where he was living. And thanks for making to have that opportunity. I think we all have to spend the time when people are healthy and good, and I think that was nice of him to spend 2-3 hours. And I remember I wanted to take a selfie with him, and he said, I was interested in taking the picture with him, so both of us are, but he said, wait a minute, this background looks better. So he's so worried about how it looks in the background, So, and his humor and his attention to the details, it's remarkable. A man of few words, like many have said, so kind and humble and so non-pretentious. He's been so successful in almost all parts of his life, but he's so, those are all the characteristics I wish that every person would inherit just by being around him. And I picked up quite a few of those. And those are the positive things. I want to close my note with the positive things that I had with Dr. Radhakrishna. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jay Dhanwantri, one of the neighbors in Mantika to Chris and family. I've known him since they moved into Mantika after selling their house in, where is it? Topeka. I know it took them a little longer to sell because they had to find somebody who was interested in the airstrip in their backyard, I guess, yeah. But we were living about maybe 4 blocks away from Chris's house. So I had the opportunity to kind of develop some amount of rapport with Chris as he was working in his backyard. And that was his mission. Once he retired from being a surgeon and a doctor, I think he really loved spending the time working on his backyard. And of course, they had that extra plot space to have a big backyard for that house, actually. And I would go and help him in building the backyard whenever I had some free time. And I realized he was at probably mid-70s or late 70s at that time. He was still a very strong individual, physically as well as mentally. He had the determination to make that backyard into a lovely garden because he was totally motivated by the thinking that this would be wonderful for the grandkids when they come and spend the time in the backyard with a swing, with all types of plants, and with that, what do you call that? Yeah. It's just like a mecca for him. And he would look forward to the weekends when Rohan, Fumi, and the kids would come, or when Aruna came with Nando and the kids. And I've seen them all there, and we've had some really good times in Mantika out there. We have celebrated New Year's party there. We were there for the 80th birthday party at a nearby hall and a restaurant. And I can imagine Chris, I would say, if I have to describe him, he has a classy personality, slightly reserved, but very affectionate and very warm individual, whose focus is family and friends, and of course flying. Without saying, that goes with him. I was so fortunate that he gave me a ride in his aircraft in and around the San Joaquin Valley over there. He and I went out, spent about 40 minutes flying around, and he even let me handle the rudder for a short few seconds. I guess, I didn't have the flair for flying yet, but I enjoyed thoroughly. And he had this unique aircraft, which has the additional wing attachments. When those are installed onto the aircraft, one can actually glide. You don't need the motor to run and stay afloat. So, he explained all those technicalities to me, and that shows the amount of excitement and the amount of sharing that he would love to do with his friends and family members. So I think, Chris, you have made a phenomenal mark on all of us in Mantika. I can speak for all the neighbors there, and you will really miss you. But I tell you, your memories will last a lifetime in all our hearts. We really miss you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, family and friends gathered here in the room, watching on the internet from India to Japan, Brazil, elsewhere. We'll leave you with one of Mom's favorite sayings that will change for Dad a little bit, which was, the secret to a good life is vitamin F. Family, friends, food, fun, and instead of faith, which Mom said, we can swap that out for flying. So Dad, enjoy this last flight with Mom, and thank you all who have been here to celebrate and honor his life. For those who would like, the staff will now be accompanying Radha Krishna down the hall to the cremation room. Anyone is invited to join the procession and can either wait here in this hall or join in the cremation room in the back. Thank you.